I think everyone's seen the gif or meme of like eat your vegetables and it's King Kong shoving a tree into Godzilla's mouth. And I was glad that we got to see that moment within this movie.
Drive-by movies, you're watching
Fresh releases.
My name's Blaze.
And my name is James.
And this week we're talking Godzilla vs. Kong.
Kong bows to no one.
Godzilla vs. Kong is one of the first blockbusters we've gotten in quite some time to reach theaters as well as HBO Max. It's directed by Adam Wingard, and in this installment it is about the two greatest icons in motion picture history against one another, the fearsome Godzilla and the mighty Kong, with humanity caught in the balance, as well as a few other surprise characters too. There's a lot of cool things I'd love to talk about. I think everyone who's watched our show has known that I'm a pretty big monster fan. I hate the word kaiju. Kaiju has become more popular since Pacific Rim came out, but I always just called these big monster movies. But Godzilla was my huge superhero as a kid. I literally have almost every Godzilla movie on VHS in my collection, and they're from my childhood, not from recent collecting days. I have this Godzilla blanket. I'm constantly getting Godzilla gifts. But you know what? I'm actually not the biggest fan of all the Godzilla MonsterVerse movies, but this one I quite enjoyed. There's a lot of bad in it, but overall I'd say it's probably one of the better of the MonsterVerse movies. Blaze, what did you think?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think that the movie, it has a lot of problems, much of which the other films in these series carry, so it's not like it has its own set of special little things that make it different. That's kind of how I felt about King of the Monsters. Was it had all this stuff in it that just made it absolutely horrible. I was laughing the entire time when I watched it. I absolutely hated it, but I was looking forward to this movie. This movie was always going to be the light at the end of the tunnel. If I could finish King of the Monsters after the first 30 minutes, I realized that the movie was as bad as it was. Maybe I'll be able to see Godzilla vs. Kong one day. And here it is. I've gotten to see it. I did enjoy the movie for what it's worth. It's literally 2 hours of basically nonstop action. By the end of the film, honestly, I was hoping that Kong would throw a new move out, because I felt like I saw every combination of punch, kick. He even used his axe at one point, which was new to me. So it was I was hoping for new moves, because we've seen him fight for 2 hours here. I wanted to see I want to see him do a Stone Cold Stunner or something.
Yeah. Every single camera angle also, granted, I know every shot is mainly digital and stuff, but just I never expect to see a monster fight with a GoPro attached to Kong's arm or Godzilla's chest or something. That was bizarre to look at, but it was interesting concepts. I'm not sure if Adam Wingard played with that idea, but fun fact about the movie, and yeah, my biggest problem with I did like the original Godzilla movie. I think it's paced pretty well. Just the biggest problem is you have too much human drama that is just not that interesting. And while there is 40 minutes until we get to see the monsters fight in this movie, once that 40 minutes you get to that mark, it's pretty much nonstop monsterness. And I like that in this movie there's still a lot of human drama. The number one complaint I'm going to complain about is Millie Bobby Brown, the girl from Stranger Things, her character, as well as the podcaster, and that kid from Hunt of the Wilder People. Why is he in this movie? I don't he kind of does nothing. All he really is just the guy who drives the car and comes up with an idea to spill alcohol on a computer. And I like the idea of a paranoid podcaster, having these thoughts and stuff, but just that plot line just felt way too dragged out. Versus the Alexander Skarsgård plot line with Rebecca Hall, I loved how over the top and cheesy and stupid that one is. That one was much more easy to digest, and it's the first time these MonsterVerse movies felt like an original Godzilla movie. All of them are trying to be realistic, and then just I don't know what has happened in the past 5 years since Godzilla has shown in that 2014 movie, but why all of a sudden are there like flying machines that can go through portals and stuff. I'm here for it, but like it's just weird that they came in out of nowhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of technology in that second film, The King of the Monsters, where it's like it escalates so quick. I remember looking at like a diagram of like the actual time jumps, and they are pretty big, especially from Kong Skull Island, which took place in the 70s. But it does also seem insane because you just don't imagine that the films are separated by, I think it's like something like 50 to 70 years. So a lot of the fantastic mental leaps that this movie takes to get, you know, from point A to point B are kind of draining on the audience, I feel like. But at the end of every, like, you know, 15 minutes, you do get to see Kong and Godzilla throw down. So it's like that's kind of really what we're here for. Like, I think if we focus too much on the plot and the stories with the characters, there is a ton of problems. Like you said, the whole Millie Bobby Brown subplot is kind of just there to connect the film from King of the Monsters because your character kind of still around. But even though there is time being like manipulated, I guess, in a way, and there's these weird subplots and like character stories, they're just really boring. And even though in this film it focuses so much on the action, where, you know, King of the Monsters is pretty much solid human drama that's really uninteresting, really cheesy, really stupid. And then this, they like limit that time-wise, but it still ends up being bad, I felt like.
Right, yeah. I'm glad that there's a lot less of it, because King of the Monsters had no right and didn't like deserve any of the, like, you know, sentimental moments towards the end of the movie, I remember, to justify its 2 hours and 30-minute runtime and stuff. Like, that's a movie I should not be passing out in, but I remember seeing it at LA's Chinese Theater, one of the biggest screens in the entire world, loudest screens too, and I passed out during that movie. Like, no Godzilla movie should be doing that for me, but somehow it did and stuff. But you know, with this, though, I appreciated that, like, you know, Adam Wingard tried to like keep it tight knit. Like, a lot of people apparently were saying, where's the director's cut and stuff, and he's come out and said, like, this is my director's cut. I always wanted the movie to be under 2 hours and stuff, and thank God, because these movies should never be. I mean, technically, all the originals are in the 80, 90-minute range, or some of them are like 100 minutes, and I'm fine with modern movies being 2 hours, but, like, it felt right. It wasn't too much and stuff, and I like that Kong overall, though, is the main character of this movie. Like, we're following him, and we just have the human characters kind of just being subtitles for us and just telling us what's happening for the most part.
I am glad there will be a director's cut coming out at some point for this movie, because I do feel like I want to see a different vision, even though, you know, HBO Max is going to give us the Snyder cut of this film eventually. Yeah. Because how successful the Snyder cut was, HBO is bound to give Zack Snyder a cut of every one of their films this year.
Yep, yeah. I think every single DC movie at this point, everyone said, like, this isn't my cut of the movie. The Birds of Prey movie, the Suicide Squad movie, whatever. Like, yeah.
I think that's how films work. Usually the director gets their cut. I think they get around 5 weeks, depending on the contract, you know, if they get more, depending on the director. But most directors are, you know, given by the DGA at least, I think, 5 weeks to give their cut of the movie. Then the studio does with that cut what they want. So
yeah,
it's kind of how filmmaking works.
Yeah. But yeah, concluding thoughts though before we like end it though, I was just curious, like, so I went in kind of knowing we're gonna talk a brief spoiler. It's a major spoiler though, so if you haven't seen the movie and don't know too much about it, avoid it. But like I knew going in that Mechagodzilla was gonna show up through online spoiler I saw, but were you surprised to like see that and stuff?
Honestly, don't think I was surprised, because I felt like it was really underwhelming, to be completely honest. Yeah. Like, I honestly just realized that you told me, like, don't go online, there's a spoiler, and I just watched the movie. I don't think it would have, I guess it might have, like, I would have been waiting for it to happen, but I think clearly we knew in any of these versus movies, even Freddy versus Jason, there's always a moment where they team up, or like, the actual versus battle isn't enough for us as an audience, and we need to see them versus something else. So I mean, I was kind of expecting something. I think we had talked about it before the movie, and like before spoilers were even out, but we were already anticipating that Space Godzilla was going to be in the film. So we were just slightly off by one iteration of Godzilla, essentially.
Right. Yeah. Good point and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what's next for the MonsterVerse movies, but it's cool seeing Mechagodzilla. He's one of like Godzilla's top villains and stuff, but like they've killed a lot of his villains in each of the movies that they've been in. So I'm just like, what's next for the MonsterVerse and stuff? Like, he doesn't have that many characters. I mean, of course, there's all the like secondhand ones, but they've killed all the mainstream ones: King Ghidorah, Mothra, Rodan, and well, Rodan I think survived, but apparently he's dead though. There was like a weird opening credit scene where it kind of shows all the monsters are dead and all that's left is Godzilla and King Kong now. But yeah. It was a fun watch though. Like, it's like, you know, these MonsterVerse movies, they know what they are. I'm glad that they I hope that they don't take themselves seriously if they do continue. Like, this is what they should have been from the get-go and stuff. I liked that the first one was kind of gritty, but like the second one was trying to be gritty, sad, and also be over the top sci-fi all at once. Is just too much. It's got to be a perfect mix of both, and this is the closest to it, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. I think that this also embraces some of the campiness of those original movies because the plot is just absolutely batshit bonkers, but it still makes it fun in a way. And it kind of makes you even realize, oh, I can't really be dissecting this movie too much because this plot is just so stupid that they made it like that on purpose. So I like that they embraced the camp of the original Godzilla films in this, because I felt like King of the Monsters was trying to be so serious when their story was absolutely more insane than this.
Right, yeah. Shout out to the homages too, because there were two homages that were like, oh, that's definitely a reference to the originals. Like, I think everyone's seen the GIF or meme of like eat your vegetables, and it's King Kong shoving a tree into Godzilla's mouth. And I was glad that we got to see that moment within this movie. Kong shoving a tree down Godzilla's throat. That's all I wanted to see, and I got it. And King Kong getting magical powers or getting stronger through a bolt of lightning. Kind of what happened in this movie too. But yeah, thought those were fun.
Do you like the scene where he freaking breaks his arm back into his, or just relocates his arm back into his socket?
That was a little dorky for me. Like, it's like badass, and I bet like kids loved it and stuff. But like me, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, yeah.
That's one of the things I am kind of curious, since you're such a King Kong fan and also Godzilla. How do you feel about him wielding an axe? Like, one of the huge things in this movie is that he has this axe with basically magic powers, essentially.
I mean, I guess it's pretty cool, and I'm pretty sure like they never flat out said it, but the like spike of it looks like a fin of Godzilla's. Like, I know that they basically said that it's been a war between their species for like since the beginning of mankind, so I assume that's what it was. But that's a cool concept. Like, you know, it's a little dorky and stuff, but I actually really enjoyed like that Hollow Earth stuff. I liked that we went into this crazy sci-fi world and stuff, and like, I don't want to get into like the negatives of it. Like, I liked how they got there, but how they got out is still a little dorky. Like, I'm like, what? Godzilla just shot a big hole down to the center of the earth, and now that's the new entrance and exit now. I know they just need to get the plot going. It's a badass scene, but yeah, like I thought it was like interesting to give Kong like that power. I preferred that because in the original, Kong literally gets struck by a lightning bolt after he's unconscious, and out of nowhere he has electric powers and stuff. But it doesn't make sense, but if you're like do the research on it, it's because the original concept was going to be Godzilla versus Frankenstein, and instead of like rewriting the entire script, they just changed the script from Frankenstein to King Kong. Yeah. And that's how that came to be. So I like, that's why I was pretty sure when he was knocked unconscious and got that, like, you know, that like clear shock whatever, I'm pretty sure that was like a little mini reference to that.
Little homage to the history of this Godzilla versus kind of story that we got here in Godzilla versus Kong.
And thank God also we could see the fights this time around too, though. And also another thing, like Junkie XL's soundtrack, I thought was actually like really cool. Like none of the movies have ever tried to go with like a weird like synth score. Like, they've all kind of just been bland, like like dark music with like horns and stuff like dun 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 dun, dun and stuff like. And then I know that King of the Monsters kind of brought in the original like music, but like a remix version. But I accept this just like felt like a very modern sci-fi soundtrack, and it worked pretty well, I thought.
Yeah, definitely. I thought that was one of the high points of this movie. I think I have to go back and rewatch it either in theaters or even just listen to that soundtrack by itself isolated just to really kind of hear everything, because I feel like in the context of the movie, some of it was a little like maybe the mix was just bad on my TV, because I heard if you had Atmos, obviously it was incredible, but just I couldn't get all the sounds that I wanted. Like I was even questioning like what was different in the soundtrack, but I know it's Junkie XL, like it's gonna be good. I think Mad Max Fury Road is probably one of my favorite soundtracks of recent, so this one has to be good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, for those of you who haven't, like I saw it in theaters, but you can check it out for HBO Max for the next month. It will be on Amazon eventually, but for now though, check it out exclusively through HBO Max, or you can check it out in theaters. Come back here, letting us know what you thought about the movie and leave a comment talking to us about it.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
If you can't get enough of us here on YouTube, we are also on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Be sure to catch all those with our links down below. Anyways, guys, that will conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new episode of Fresh Releases.